Yeah, and it's so interesting that you say that, because one of the things when I was training as a psychologist that one of my supervisors said was that, there's always going to be that urge when you hear something that you want to jump in right then and intervene, because you feel like, well, what if the person never brings it up again? What if this is your only chance to help the person?
Yeah.
And, sometimes, a lot of times, like, people will get, maybe they'll overdo it, or they'll
Yeah.
get like, and it, it's like, it'll always come around again. You'll get other opportunities. And I think what you're talking about here is sometimes people think like, well, like, I've got to be in the moment. I've got to be in the moment. I've got to escape. I've got to escape. And just be like, hold on a second, take a moment. This is a lifelong process. Like, you don't have to have it all figured out right away.
Definitely. And I think I love that you're saying this. I was doing an interview with a good friend of mine, Ebro, at Hot 97. And he had said something to me. It was so interesting because it's not very often, I think, us as people think about the different levels of society, especially now with the internet, right? Like, we've been talking about social media. But I remember when I was a kid, cyberbullying was like, it was the first conversation, right? So like, it was like the first time there were commercials and different things. And they talked about the idea of these people that would speak about you at school, but then you would go home and there's no supervision, no teachers, and these kids are just coming at you and they're just pouring out, saying whatever. There's nobody to kind of protect you from that. And what's very interesting is that there's a lot of similarities with Instagram and with Twitter and with those spaces. So something that Ebro said to me that was so interesting, and it touches on what you just said, is you remember when you were in school and maybe you're late for science class and you're walking the homeroom and you see 7 kids running in the opposite direction, and one of them stops and they say, "Hey, man, there's this huge fight or this huge food fight going on in the cafeteria. You want to head this way?" And in your mind, you know that you're already late, but there's something about you that you want to be there. And it's not to be a part of it, to participate, but maybe just to see it happen. And then think about that idea on Instagram, right? So when something comes up that's a negative thing and you're having a great positive day, you're scrolling, there's something about you. And I don't think it's a negative thing. I think it's a positive thing, that it's in human nature to want to see what they could help, which is similar to what you said in terms of wanting to act in those situations. And then, of course, with social media, you have the freedom to like or dislike or comment, right? Which is very similar to the ways that we can talk. So there are various connections to the internet. And I think the difference between the internet and high school, again, or school gets out at 3 o'clock. The internet lasts forever and it never stops. It's like the magazine issue that never stops going. It keeps getting pressed. There's always something. So I think that we have to find our balance through our mental health. And that could be as easy as saying, no, you know what? I'm going to go to science class, or saying, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to look at this video. Because the thing you don't think about as well is when you look at those videos, whether you like it, comment, or share it, the analytics will place that video automatically to somebody that's in your following with a similar, category. So we got to figure it out, and we got to also be able to look into us and realize that there's nothing more important on Instagram than the people that are using it, right? So it's us. How do we give ourselves that time and also separate and take that step?